I sat at a diner counter on a Tuesday with a cup that had gone cold. The fryer was loud. A man in a work shirt came in through the back and went straight to the red can on the wall. He didn't ask the cook for anything. He took the can down, turned it in his hands, hung a small paper on the neck, and put it back on the same bracket. Then he wrote on a clipboard, and the woman at the register handed him a check. Nobody had pulled the pin. The kitchen smelled like oil, not smoke. That is the visit. Most people who want this shop never see it, because they are standing in a hardware aisle looking at new cans. I know that aisle. You walk in for a bulb and you come out staring at a wall of red. They sit there in a row, full, unused, with the pins still in. You buy one because a landlord said hang one, or because a kitchen felt naked without it, and you take it home and you forget it. You paid for a can. You didn't pay for a man to come back. The man in the diner had not sold them a can. I watched him hang the old one up. I went back on a Thursday. The fryer was on and the can was still on the wall, same height, with the scuff on the bottom I had noticed from the counter. The paper on the neck had a date I could read without standing up. The man from Tuesday wasn't there, and the diner had not burned. If a can was a thing you sell once, that paper should not have needed a new date. The can had not been used. It still got a new paper, and the register had still opened. I have seen that same quiet can in rooms that also did not burn. A school hallway by the gym doors, paper on the neck, kids walking past it like it was part of the brick. A tire shop by the compressor, oily floor, a van at the curb with more cans in the back, and a clipboard on the dash. The hardware aisle still looks like the job if you only think about this when you need a can. The diner was not shopping. The diner was paying a man to look at a can that had sat on that wall all year. I stayed for a second cup and watched the lunch crowd come in. Nobody glanced at the can. The cook never looked at it either. It did its quiet work of hanging there, which is all a can does on a day without a fire, and the shop still had a check out the door from Tuesday. Night came down on that street and the diner was still open. The can was still on the wall. The van was gone. I had time to get the story wrong. Maybe he had swapped it and I missed the swap. Maybe the old one was empty. The can that went back on the wall was the can that came off it, scuff and all. Only the paper had changed. People buy the aisle because that is the picture. The pay I saw did not wait for a fire. The can does not need a fire. The law books the visit. Every year the can has to be checked. Every 6 years a dry can has to be emptied and looked at inside. A kitchen hood has to be serviced twice a year. Tuesday's check did not need a fire to clear. No filing I have prints what share of a small root is the yearly look. The pages print the visit. OSHA, 29 CFR 1910.157. Portable fire extinguishers. The employer is responsible for the inspection, the maintenance, and the testing of every portable can in the workplace. They have to be kept charged, and they have to stay in their place except when someone is using them. Monthly, someone looks at them. That look can be an employee. Yearly, they get a maintenance check. The employer records the date and keeps that record for a year after the last entry, or for the life of the shell, whichever is less. Stored pressure cans do not need to be opened for that yearly check. The yearly check still happens. If it is a stored pressure dry chemical can that takes a 12-year hydrostatic test, it gets emptied and maintained every 6 years. Disposable cans are out of that rule. If you recharge it or you hydro it, the 6 years starts again. That is a workplace duty. It does not ask whether the can was used. The fire code hangs the can in the first place. International Fire Code 906. Shops, schools, hotels, apartments, factories. If the building is one of those, the can is supposed to be there. Within 30 feet of commercial cooking equipment, too. They picked NFPA 10 for how you choose and hang them. The customer already has the can. You are not waiting for smoke to give you a reason to show up. Boone County, Missouri printed a card. The bid closed October 2nd, 2025. Award memorandum October 3rd. One bid came in. They gave the term and supply work to Korsmeyer Fire Protection. This is a county price, not a diner menu. Yearly maintenance on an ABC can is $4.75. The other types on that tab are the same $4.75. 6-year work, and the price has to include a recharge. A 2 to 2.5 pound ABC is $18.50. 4 to 6 pound, $22. A 10 pound ABC is $37.50. 13 to 20 pound, also $37.50. 12-year hydro on that 10 pound ABC, test and recharge in the line, is $47.50. A new 10 pound ABC on the same card, Ansel AA105, is $110. The 6-year line on the 10 pound can is already several yearly tags. I added that. The card does not print it as a lesson. It prints $4.75, and it prints $37.50. The kitchen hood on that card is a different clock. 5 county kitchens, Ansel systems. Annual inspection, 125. Semi-annual, 125. That is $250 a year for one hood if both visits happen. I added those. The card prints 125 twice. International Fire Code 904.13.5.2 says automatic kitchen systems shall be serviced not less than every 6 months and after the system activates. Lafayette, Indiana writes the same thing on a fire prevention page. At least semi-annually. Fire Code and NFPA 17A. A hood is extra on the same van. It is not the first secret, and it is not day one work. I have no diner rate in this packet. I will not guess one. The Honest Start is not a pallet of cans in a garage. Texas licenses the pieces, and it will not let you split them. Insurance code 6001.251. You may not be in the business of installing or servicing portable extinguishers without a registration certificate. You may not install, service, or certify that service without a license. The State Fire Marshal's own page, updated April 17, 2026. They can't register a company without a licensed employee, and they can't license the person until that person works for a registered company. You apply together. Company Certificate of Registration, $450 to start, $600 to renew for 2 years. Type B license, the portable can license, $70 to start, $100 for 2 years. Closed book tests, 50 questions, 70% to pass. Fingerprints. An apprentice permit is $30 and has no test, and a licensee has to watch the work and sign the tag. Type K is the kitchen systems license. You hold Type B, or the apprentice permit, for 6 months first. That is why I said the hood is not day one. If you want a Hydro DOT specification cylinders, that is a Type C registration, $250 to start, and the company needs a requalification number from the Department of Transportation. That is a plant. That is not the diner van. Utah writes the same job in different paper. No person or concern services portable extinguishers without a license from the State Fire Marshal. The concern license wants liability insurance of at least $100,000 each incident and $300,000 in total, and they inspect the premises and the vehicles. The person who does the work holds a certificate of registration. Written exam, 70%, open book on the statute, the rule, and NFPA 10. 1 year, then you renew. Every 5 years, you test again. I do not have a van invoice in this packet. I will not paint a number I did not see. The customer is whoever is already required to hang the can, an employer under that OSHA rule, a diner with a fryer, a school hallway, a tire shop, a county building on a bid like Boone's. The fire is real when it happens. It is not what books the Tuesday visit. The trap is the aisle. You buy a wall of red cans because that is what you have seen, and you wait for something to burn, or you try to sell them one at a time like a hardware store. A man with leftover cans and no license is not this shop. Texas will not hang a certificate on a garage. Utah will not either. The county card is a real check and a bad teacher. $4.75 is what Boone paid per yearly ABC, and they only got one bidder. That is a thin field, and it is a cheap line. Do not live on a city tag and call it a diner book. The hood money is real, and it is slower. 6 months as Type B or apprentice before Type K in Texas. Skip that wait, and you are putting papers on cans while someone else owns the fryer system. DOT Hydro is another way to get ahead of yourself. Type C and a federal number, not a compressor in a parking lot. There is no weekly take-home for a one-van owner in this packet. $5,000 a week would be a guess, and a license does not need a guess to be a real start. I keep one crude count for a shop like this. How many cans still need a date this year? If the book is full of dates still ahead, the visits are booked. If every paper on the wall is last year, you have leftover cans and a quiet phone. I went back to the diner. The can was still on the wall by the fryer. The paper on the neck still had a date. The cook was still cooking, and nobody had pulled the pin. From the counter it looked like a can that had never earned $1, which is the joke people tell themselves about this shop. They will keep pointing at the hardware aisle or at a fire on the news. I keep looking at the paper on the neck. That is what Tuesday paid for. I am Wolfe. We follow the money. Wolfe Business Journal.